After completing the database function or list function, next topic we have for this week, week 10, that is Excel automation using macros. So what is macros first? Macros are used for the automation. So automation is resultant to efficiencies and then fewer errors. How? Macro is basically a recorder. So what you can understand to understand the macro, let's take an example of a sound recorder. So basically when you are starting a sound recorder, it is basically adding the or recording the sound, and when you click on the pause, that recording is paused again, and whenever you want to listen it again, you can have it, you can have that sound again. Similarly, you can have the video recorders as well, and in the same manner these macro works. So it is a basically the logic behind the macros are VBA coding. VBA coding it works. So dynamic codes are generated when we are using the macros here, and these codes are the reusable codes. You can use it in any time here. So why we use macros? We use macros for the automation and the efficiency so that we can have the fewer errors. And how macros recorders, it works as in the recording. It is VBA recorders, and we generate dynamic and the reusable code with using macros. So how it works? So let's understand the case here. I'll come to my order sheet again. So I'm at a blank sheet here. In that blank sheet, now you understand that every time or every day I need to maintain a sheet, or maybe what I need to do, like I come with the simple example here. I'll write here serial number. I'll come 1, 2, 3. Here I'm writing order ID, or and then I'm writing here customer ID, and then I'm writing maybe unit sold. So this is my work here. This kind of format I need to provide every time. This is my one work here. So let me write here unit sold. This is the correct definition here. And then what I'll do some a little bit formatting. Let me centralize this. Zoo, provide a color, do with the borders. So on a daily basis, this is a very simple task. And in case of the real life examples, you can have a big task as well. So that task is repeatable in the same manner every day or every time, or you can say the multiple times a day. You can record a recording for that. How you can do that recording? You can do it with the macros here only. So this is very simple example. You can have a do a multiple data set, like you're getting a file daily basis from any other sources, or you are getting what some kind of a data. For example, I'm getting this kind of a data from a sheet from orders here, and then I need to provide my kind of formatting on that sheet. Every day you are getting a same format, and then you want to make changes on that sheet. So you can do that, and you don't need to do it every time. What you can do, you can make macro on that, and then you can give pass on that macros value, and macro will do rest work for you. So how we can create the macros? Let's come back to the presentation. So how we can create macro? We need to go to the view. In the view, macros and record macro. And then what are the steps? So once you open this record macro, you can see here this view and the macros. Once you click on the macro, then you can click on the record macro. Once you click on the record macro, this we are having a macro name here, shortcut key, and where you want to store, you want to give some description, you can give that. Next, so this is talking about you can provide the name, you can give the shortcut key, you can choose a location here, and then you can give the description as well. So out of these four, we have this two optional things, that is shortcut key and the description here. And once you are done with these four steps, you can click on OK, process, and once your process is done, you can stop the recording. So let's come back and let's see some practical implementation there. For now, let me delete this. So I have a blank sheet for now. I'll delete this. This is my sheet here. What I'm doing, I'm click on view, and then in the last I have the macros with me. I'll click on this. There is my record macro. So this is my first macro here. So let me give, I'll write here the name as first only. Shortcut key, this is the optional one only. So let me try for this here. I'll write here control Let me try here control. I'll give any shortcut, control Y. This is my small y. This is I'm giving a shortcut key. Now, where you want to store this macro in? And you have three options with you. You want to store it into new workbook, you want to store it into this workbook, or you want to have a personal macro workbook. So this entire workbook will be saved as a personal macro workbook. Like you have a separate workbook only storing the macros only, so that you can choose. You want to have it into a new workbook, that you can do. You can want to have it into this workbook, you can do that, or you want to save it separately. Let me save it separately for this time. Description. So I'll write here, this is my first macro testing. So this is my description. You can give anything with here. Once it is done, I'll click on OK. Now your recording has been started. Whatever you are doing, that is into the recording here. So let me write here serial number. I'll give it here order ID. Let me click here customer ID, and after that let me write here 1 2, and let me see. You just make sure, remember that you are under a recording phase. After doing this, let me provide some brief formatting here, and let me have a borders over here as well. So here I will give a good dashing here. I can provide a theme as well here. Let me write it as a table 3, or I'll come it to my sheet again. This is my values here. Let me make it bold here and make some text size as well. Times New Roman 14. This is my customer ID here. And let me have a color as red, background color as some grayish I'll give. This is my things have done. So this all I want to do here. And once I'm done with that, I'll go back to view and click on macros. Now you can see here, instead of record, you are coming with the option stop recording. I'll click on a stop recording. My recording has been stopped. How I can see here the values here. Now my cursor is here. I'm at 6. I'll click again on the macros. Now just go to the view macros. Here you can see the different macros here. Now you can see multiple macros here. Let me for now, I'll be deleting everything. So this I made it with a different workbook here. Now I am coming to which macro? My macro this time is first. This is my macro. Now once I clicked on this macro, you can see the description here. This is my first macro testing. So if I click on run here, it has nothing you can see here. So for now, let me delete this. I'm deleting this, whatever I'm creating here. This has been deleted here. Again, I'll come to macros, view macros. In that view macros, I'll come to the first. This is my first macro testing, and click on run. So you can actually see what you have, whatever you have done, you can have that value here. So let me create a new sheet here. My new sheet here is there. Sheet 1. I'm keeping my cursor at A1 only. I'll click on macros, view macros. I'll come to first. This is my first macro testing, and click on run. At the same location, you are getting that table. So that entire field or entire values have been stored with this macro. You can see here as well. So what I have here in all these sheets, you can see the value you have provided. This has been done it here only. So I have the macro. Let me delete it again. I'll come to this. Let me delete this here again. So this is storing everything, whatever formatting I am providing here. I'll come to click on view macros and run. This time I have executed a different macro. Let me come to my macro only. This is my first. So you can see on that same range you are getting the values here also. This is the benefit of using macros. So this is easy to use as well. Let me come to the presentation and see what are the advantages of using macros. It is automated efficiencies and fewer errors. So one time you can make a basic set with you, that model is prepared with you, and that you can use multiple times. Let me have some more examples here. So I will be deleting everything here. Let me delete this, and this is my sheet here. Now In that sheet, I'll come to macros again, view macros. So I have some macros already made here. I'll come with this. So you can see something, some values are coming here. So let me come again here and let me make some my on macros again. So we will be trying it with the multiple macros this time. So here in this macro, what I am doing, using some color changing addition. So I'll be writing here hi and bye, and let me write namaste here. So these are my columns name here. In clicking of hi, what we are doing, before that, I'll write here again hi, bye, and namaste. This is my result here. And now I'll start recording here. This is record macro. This is my, let's give this name as hi only. Shortcut key for now we are not providing, and I am saving into personal macro book only. And description also I'm giving as hi. I'll click on OK. This you can see here macro with name hi already exists. Replace existing macro. So if I click on yes, so I can replace that as well. Now again I am saving something. So what I'll do, I'll select this and do some kind of a color here. So this is yellow here. Now I'll stop my recording again. I'll come to view and stop recording. This is done. Now I'll come to buy. Again I'll start record macro. I'll give the name buy, and description again I'm giving buy. It already exists. Let me replace this one as well. So again I am saving here home, and let me give this time red color. This I am giving. Let me stop the recording again. View, stop recording. This is again done. I'll come to one third macro now. Third macro I am creating. Record macro, and this time I'll give the name as namaste. Writing here namaste only. And the description I'm giving, I'll click on OK. Let me try a green color this time, and I'll go back to the color formatting, and I'm giving a green color here to this namaste. And let me stop the macro recording. This is my stop recording. So I have total 3 macros now, hi, bye, and namaste. So now I'll come to this values here. So let me delete this. This is my personal workbook macros here. I'll come to view and then macros. Now in view macros, I have macros in what I want to have. Let me want to have in this workbook, or anyone you can try. So this time I'll try my high. I try my high and click on. So you can see that color is provided here in the same field at the same location. Let me have for my buy as well. So I'll take it buy as well. So buy has been provided. If I take the namaste, so this was the third macro I am getting. So this is my third macro, that is with the green color. So you can have multiple macros with you and you can run that. This was the simple thing. You can do multiple things as well. So data you will provide in the same range you will be getting, but you need to make sure that this macro will be working on the same range only. So if it started from this F5, so it will work in the same manner, G5 and H5, and the range was this. This was the complete range. So H5 to H15 for the namaste macro, G5 to G15 for bye macro, and F5 to 15 for hi macro. This was the range given by these 3 macros we have used here. And after that, we have other options as well. So you can record as well, and you can see the viewing of the macros as well. So you can do all these things for the macro building. And let's come back to the presentation. What we have the next, we learnt about how we can create the macro by going to view and then macros and recording macro. We need to provide 4 things: provide name, shortcut key, location, and description. If you have remember that in the first time, when we created that table as serial number, order ID, and the customer ID, That was our first macro we tried first. The shortcut we have given, we have provided a shortcut to that, and that shortcut was control, and we have a Y for that. So if I click on control Y now, I'm at the sheet, so you can see that values as again. So with that shortcut is also provided. Rather than going to that options viewing in the macros, you can apply the shortcut key as well. So I have this, my first macro from the ranging starting from this range, that is F6 to H16. So it has been overlapped or overwritten in all these three macros. It took that space. So if I run again that macro, so this is my range here. Let me have buy again. So this is here. So again the overwritten return thing has done. Let me do it for the high, and let me do it for the next was the namaste one. So if I'll try that, this is the values here. So if I click again that shortcut key, that is control Y, so I'll get that kind of output. So this is how my shortcut keys are working here. If I try it into a next sheet, this is my sheet here, and I'll try to run my high buy. I'll turn high, so high is there. If I have the buy, so buy is there. If I try my namaste here, so this content is also here. This is the value for all these macros. I can have it in any other sheet as well. So we have given we have provided the name as well. So name should be unique every time you are creating macro. Shortcut key is your responsibility or your wish whether you want to give or not. If you want to give, you can execute the macro with the shortcut key as well. Then you need to select the location, and if you see in the location how many options are available, we have option to store in the macro at the three location that you want to save it to a new workbook, you can do that. You want to save it into the this workbook, you can do that. Otherwise you can go with the personal macro workbook as well. And then we description, that is the optional thing whether you want to give it or not, but it is advisable to give the description, because like I created hi bye namaste, so I might not be remembering that what is this hi bye namaste. So maybe on the later stage you cannot recall that, but with the description you can have the help with what you have provided in that location. So once you are done with the recording thing, it's basically creating a record of whatever mouse clicks you do or whatever you write. That is okay, process and stop recording. Now, once you're done with the macro and you made some errors, so what you can do? One thing is either you completely replace it as we did it in the practice session. Otherwise, if you need to do the editing you can do with the VB only, that is Visual Basic for Applications. So made a mistake, add more items in a macro, want to edit the macro, how you can do that? So for that, you need to go to the developer section of the Visual Basics and then start editing your recorded code. So points to note, no undo after macro. So let's try this. This is very interesting one this time. So next we have a developer tab here. So by default, it is not available with the Microsoft Excel. You need to enable it first. How you can do that enabling? So I'll go back to the file. In the options, I have customize ribbon. There I have option for this developer. Let me uncheck this and click on OK. So by default, you don't have this developer tab in Microsoft Excel. How you can have that tab with you? You need to go to file, click on options, and then customize ribbon. In that customize ribbon, you need to check on the developer tab and click on OK. So once you have that developer tab, you have all access or all the functionalities that is available for macros at your end only. So you can start recording with the macro here as well. You can go it with the record macro. Each of the commands you perform will be saved into the macro so that you can play them back again. So let me try this. So I'll come with the record macro, same method you are getting here. So I'll write here macro color change. This is my color change. Shortcut key I don't want to give. Again, I'll save it to the personal macro workbook. I'll write here color change, and I'll click on OK. The syntax of this name is not correct. See, that's why I have given this name. Whatever your name you're giving to the macro, you need to make sure that it starts with a letter or underscore. This is the first case. Yes, this is perfectly fine. It does not include a space or a character, that is not allowed. Does not conflict with an existing name in the workbook. This you need to make sure whenever you're keeping the name for the macro. And what error we have done here, we have provided the space. Let me change it to the underscore. Color change. Let me try this. So this is fine here. So what I am doing here, let me change the background color of the entire sheet. Let me give a light shade. I'll use this shade here, or let me come with a white shade here. So this I'm doing here. And after this, I'll again go to my developer tab. Now you can see here stop recording. So now it is your wish, you want to do it from here only, or you want to come to the developer thing. So in the view, you have only three options available with the macros, that is view macro, record a macro or a stop recording, and then using some relative reference. And in the developer tab, you have everything with the VBA where you can do the handling of the macros. I'll come to home and I don't want to use any color. So this I'll see no fill. So I can see my data here only. So this is my data, and now I'm not having anything here with me. So this is my data here. So now if I want to run the macros, I'll go to the developer and then I can see the macros here. Here I have provided with the macros. I'll try my color change. This is my run. So you can see the color here. So this was whatever color I have given there, that has been executed in the stepwise format only, and you can see all those color over there only. I'll come back again. Let me try this no fill. I don't want to have a color fill with me. I'll come with the no fill so I can see my sheet. In this way, you can execute macro with the developer tab only. Then now we need to learn how we can do the coding. Now in the coding, I want to have a different color now. So let's do the editing with the hi, bye and the namaste. Instead of yellow, red and green, I want to have a different color now. But how I can do the correction? Do I need to replace everything, or I can edit it with something? I can actually edit with something. So how I can edit it? Let me click on the macros again. The first was my high one, and after clicking on the high, I'll come to the edit part. I'll click on edit. Cannot edit a macro in a hidden workbook. Unhide the workbook using the unhide command. Or let me have it edit with, let me try it with the color change also. This we recently executed, and I'll come to color change and I click on edit. This is giving me same time same option.